205 pounds, 6 feet tall boy. Until I met you, I didn't know they could stack crap that high. Shut up, Joe Rogan. Do not interrupt. I just beat a world champion. You think I won't take out a middle-aged comedian just for the goddamn pleasure of it? Wanderlei Silva, 3 months. It's you and the bad guy. And new good guy, bad guy coming to you right now. I'm Chael, he's Daniel, and partner. Speaking of, and new, what a weekend we had.
What a new champion we've got. My goodness, the middleweight division must be like on notice. I've got some reactions from some of the fighters from that division and so much more as we discuss the new middleweight champion of the world, Khamzat Chimaev. And Chael, look like we both wore white today, but I got like this Lions MMA with the gold. It makes me look like some sort of king. I'm looking good.
The master of the plug. Well done, DC.
Hey, Chael, when I put on white with my skin, it's so beautifully brown and caramel. It's a good combination, Chael. It doesn't wash me out. It just makes me feel like I have a halo around the top of my head.
I wanted you at Sphere to wear a white three-piece suit so badly that when you came on, I actually felt a disappointment. And I wanted it all so that behind your back, I could refer to you as Boss Hog.
Yes, yes, yes. I would have looked so good in that.
You would have looked great.
Chael, hey, back to Khamzat. Sorry. You know how I know a guy has connected, right? We sit with these fighters constantly, right? You go into training sessions. I do my check-ins. We talk to them. You know when a guy's connected, when their numbers are just through the roof. Khamzat and I have done interviews constantly over the course of his career. Some have been great. Some have been just okay. Khamzat Chimaev I interviewed last weekend. The interview has 500,000 people have watched it. The post-fight reaction video to him becoming champion has 400,000 in 2 days. People are tapped into Khamzat, Chael. They're interested in him, and after that type of performance, it's only going to grow. But my question to you is, I have a two-parter, right? One, how impressed were you by Khamzat? Two, were you surprised at the lack of preparation that it seemed Dricus had for the amount of takedowns coming in his direction?
And Daniel, same experience, man. I put a video out on these guys as a post cap after the fight. My all-time record is 21,000 in 60 minutes. I did 33,000 in 48 minutes. So I fully understand that the audience is there, and I want to hear some of these numbers. I think Dana is sitting on some records, whether it was record for 2025 just for live gate or attendance or a building record. There was something, and it was in the air, partner, and we felt it all week. 3,000 people showed up to a weigh-in. 3,800 people showed up to a press conference. No chance of a punch being thrown. I mean, he was over. And there was Chechenian shirts everywhere. There's Khamzat Chimaev shirts that weren't even made by the UFC, like the knockoff shirts the dude sells out of a box out of the street. They were everywhere. It was an incredible thing. I've only felt that one time in my life, and that's being in Vegas on a Conor McGregor fight week when the Irish load those jumbo jets. It was incredible, to your point. I mean, when a star is born, a star is born. Look, wasn't I surprised DDP couldn't stop the takedown? If I'm to be critical, I would be critical of one thing. There is an immense narrative of the greatness of wrestling of Chimaev. And that might be true, but that's not necessarily what we saw. Look, there was 11 takedowns. It was the same takedown. There was one thing that Chimaev did, and it was that double leg takedown. He never went to a body lock. He never went to a snap down and underhook. He never did those things. It was one position, and that surprised me. That one thing did surprise me because I knew going into this fight, if he looks for takedowns, he looks from the open, not the clinch, and he looks for a double. You want to go a little further? He likes to back you close to the fence before he does it, similar to what Khabib did. I'm only sharing. There was nothing there that was a surprise. And I think that that's actually a backhanded compliment. If you know what the guy's going to do, much like Mike Tyson with that uppercut and that hook, but you still can't stop it, then now you're talking about a level of effectiveness. And it did surprise me. I mean, I've got Dricus Du Plessis on a very high pedestal. I still do. Daniel, when you're 15 minutes into one of those fights, the math no longer works. You are not capable of winning that fight outside of the Hail Mary punch. Dricus stayed out there like a man. He stayed out there trying to solve that problem. His conditioning was on point. He tried to win that fight. I got to at least give him that.
I give him credit for his mentality. You got to show a little more. Like, Khamzat Chimaev wanted to take down Kamaru Usman all those times, just couldn't. Because if you don't change the takedown, when you got a guy that recognizes the takedowns are coming, he does things to defend. For me, the biggest issue with Dricus' takedown defense was he just wasn't taking his legs back. You got to just take your legs back, right? Sprawl, at least make it hard to get those takedowns. But ultimately, Khamzat Chimaev does this to everyone, and he seems to be getting more effective at it, especially Chael, if his cardio is up to snuff. You talked about the bigger gate. That was the biggest gate in United Center history. The Chicago Bulls played there.
Oh, they did announce that. They did announce that.
The biggest gate in the history of the arena when the Bulls have played there for years. This is a massive event led by a massive star. But there is this segment of fans that say that while dominant, it was boring. Chael, I was not bored. I was not bored. I thought that Chimaev fought well. If you hit somebody 500 times, how can you be bored by someone hitting someone 500 times to like 30? He didn't get hit with a significant strike until probably round 4. It was dominant as dominant comes. But Chael, I have to ask the question. It was a bit of a slow performance, at least to some. Does that hurt the idea that Khamzat Chimaev is so dominant in this division?
Daniel, in middleweight history, the biggest gap that we've ever seen in strikes is a number I know perfectly because I had the record until Saturday. It was 311 strikes by me, 11 by my opponent. It was very lopsided. Now, I only tell you that because Chimaev almost doubled it, Daniel. He had 527 strikes against 49. And by the way, those 49, 46 of them came in the very final round. There was 3 rounds where he was never touched. I mean, this really was an incredible thing. And I wish we had a mat right now. I wish you and I could kind of show the audience because I see it the way you do. The first thing you got to do is get those legs the heck out of the way. The next thing you can do when a guy is tight is take your arm. Now, you got to really straighten it. You got to straighten it. And then you use a straight arm and you just scramble out. The guy cannot control you. Here's a secret if you're ever fighting a wrestler. He can only control the fabric that you show up in. If you get him anywhere except for on your shorts, he'll slide right off. And that's one thing that straight arm can do. I want to bring that to you because where does Dricus go from here? And you want to talk about whether that fight was fun or not. It was so dominant that poor Dricus, generally, you're a great champion like he is when you're setting gate records, a rematch would be on the table. It's not. It's not.
No,
it's not being mentioned or looked at. Yeah, and even if we get there a year from now, it's a little bit hard just because of the gap. Daniel, there was 3 10-8 rounds. I don't believe that we've ever had that in history. I can't come out and tell you that's a record, but it's a record for off the top of my head. I share that because if they were to rematch, we would have to have good reason to believe that Dricus has solved this one problem. Daniel, can I make one more thought? And I know I'm breathing a little bit, but it was so amazing to me. When you talk about what was boring versus what was tactical, Chimaev started doing some jiu-jitsu. And when he did, Dricus could go with him. When Chimaev started throwing the hooks in and looking for that rear naked choke, Dricus knew where he was. Dricus knew how to reverse that. He knew how to get his elbow through. He knew how to tuck his chin. He did a very good job. So Chimaev actually controlled this from the in-between. He stayed behind him. He pulled those hips one way. He pulled the hips the other. He bumped into him. It was very basic, but he found more success in doing less. He found more success in not putting Dricus somewhere familiar and just doing it from the outside. That I have never seen. For a guy to keep another guy down without a leg entanglement of some kind, I've never seen. And that, for me, was very fascinating.
You know how hard it is to just keep somebody down? That, Chael, when guys, if I have a guy that's going to fight or something and they go, I want to tape my ankles, I'm like, no, because I'll wrestle the foot. One of the biggest issues I had when I started fighting, Chael, was no longer having the shoe. I tell my guys all the time, my high school team, wrestle the shoe, wrestle the shoe, wrestle the shoe. Because the moment your leg, if you're on a single leg, comes over that shoe and it's stuck on the thigh, they just put the foot to the mat, they start wrestling back into you. You always wrestle that fabric, that cloth. So the shorts is where Khamzat needs to hold him from. But again, he spent the vast majority of his time on Dricus Du Plessis' chest. He was in a crucifix shell 5 times. 5 times. Chimaev put him in a crucifix. And Chael, in your career, how many times have you crucifixed people? It's a very difficult thing to do, right? 5 times in one fight is crazy.
5 times, including the practice room, is probably my number. And Daniel, believe me, I wanted to. I'd have loved to have got what a dominant position. That was another thing, though. Or I did gain some respect for Dricus. I mean, I realized these weren't the hardest punches in the world, but they weren't the hardest punches because Dricus would tuck his head. Dricus would come into the body. Whatever it was Dricus needed to do to increase his chances of surviving positions, he did. I mean, he was very great. I got to tell you, partner, I never thought Dricus was going to win the first round. I never thought he was going to win the second round. I mean, we're going into the third round, and I'm still of the mind, hey, this fight hasn't started. Dricus is still coming. And if you looked at Dricus in the corner, he was smiling. He was the one talking to the coaches, not being spoken to. If you look at Chimaev, very stoic, reserving his energy, taking in information to go out there and try to rinse and repeat another round. I was into that fight. I did not think, even going into the fifth round, that Chimaev was going to completely dominate like that. But I do have to come back to one thing, which is he dominated with one move. One move. Yeah. So if you are in that middleweight division, and you go into a Chimaev fight not prepared, right? I mean, he is telegraphed. He is now told the world, I got one way to get you down.
A double leg, and it's from way out there. It's crazy because I yell at people, don't shoot. Shooting does not work. You got to punch him to move him to shoot because shooting straight on doesn't work. And then I watch Khamzat Chimaev do it 11 times or 13 times and score 11 takedowns with it. So maybe you can shoot. Talking of Dricus's coaches, they were encouraging early, but I thought it was very telling after one of the later rounds. His coach walked in and he went like that, almost like flabbergasted, like, God, how do I get him going? Well, Mornay Visser said, hey, we could have done a lot better, but I also think that the ref should have done better. He could have made the fight a lot more live or a little bit more live. I don't know if he's saying that there should have been more stand-ups. But you can't stand the guy up, Chael, if he's either on your back or he's got you in a crucifix. And honestly, that was where the vast majority of the time was spent in the fight. Dricus would look into Khamzat. That was great. He would have the crucifix, the side that Khamzat was on, he would look into his side, so Khamzat could only hit him right here. He never got to hit him on his chin. But you really can't stand him up if he's in those dominant positions. In round 5, when Khamzat started holding, there was about 2 minutes left, and I said, he's going to get one more chance. I go, the ref's going to stand him up. I go, it's round 5, and he's not advancing as much as he had prior. What do you make of that statement, though? They should have stood him up more.
No, and I see it the same way that you do.
Was the ref bad?
Listen, Daniel, if you're in the guard, you're fair game. You've got to be staying busy. But if we got into a crucifix, we're now 2 steps ahead at minimum. We've now got a takedown plus a pass. Then if you start to look for a position, you could be 3 and 4 steps ahead. And my only point is if one guy is 2 steps ahead, it is now incumbent on the other guy to make a move. And there was times where Chimaev looked like he was trying to give Dricus an ability to scramble. Now, he wasn't doing that to be nice. He was getting greedy and going to try to take his back and try to finish him. But I'm just sharing with you, to act like the referee should then step in and do it, it's just not the way that this game is played. And I had a chance to speak, Daniel, I asked Dustin Poirier about this. And I really was worried that I was going to be sounding rude to Dustin. But the only time I've seen this in championship history is when Khabib did it to Dustin. And I happen to remember Dustin telling his corner how frustrating it was. Hey, this guy's a step ahead, man. He won't give me any space. So I just asked Dustin, I want to know from Dricus' standpoint, what is it like to be in that spot? What is it like round after round, rinse and repeat, have the numbers against you? Know I've got to knock this guy out, but we're on the ground and it's so hard to do. Dustin said, yeah, it's real. You know, that you are doing those calculations in your head. You are thinking about, I can't keep this guy back. I see combinations, but he's got to let me go. And generally, that's what a fight is. It's a trade. I go, then I cover while you go. Then you cover while I come at you, and we trade this back and forth. It really was amazing to watch how greedy and selfish Chimaev was. He didn't give up anything. He wasn't giving up any opportunities. While I'm sitting here bragging to you that he went 527 against 49, he doesn't think he should have let those 49 go. He was being hard on himself. When I spoke to Chimaev after the fight, and Daniel, he was given a black belt that night. I'm not sure if you saw that. So when he comes to the ESPN desk, his coach is holding the world title. He came on SportsCenter wearing the black belt. And I just thought that was very telling to his character and who he is. He decided to show a respect to his team and to his coaches over the company's belt. And I just thought that was an incredible thing, and I wanted to bring that to your attention.
Yeah, I think that Chimaev's man, he's going to be very difficult for anyone that has to prepare to try to take that belt off of him. It's very difficult when it feels like it was always expected and then it happens, right? Because since we saw him on Fight Island, people said this kid's going to be a champion. And there was a wait to get here. But the moment he got there, he was able to deliver in really impressive fashion. Chael, that made me think there are some very difficult people to prepare for in the UFC. MVP comes to mind. Islam, Marab, Ilia Topuria. Is Khamzat the most difficult person to prepare for in the UFC? I got a thought on this, but I want to hear yours first.
Well, one thing about it, DC, we're pretty sure as analysts, we're pretty sure as outsiders that there was a path to victory, and it came through the conditioning. It came through the fact that Chimaev has never been in the main event club, let alone the 5-round club. It was an incredible thing, and I do think that that sparks a little bit of a fear in the fellow opponents as opposed to a positivity. Chimaev did close some doors. He closed more doors than he opened, even if we want to be critical of the action or the submission attempt. So I want to hear your thought on this. I think that's a very tough question, but I'm going to go with no. What do you think?
I don't think so. Because of one thing you said earlier, it's only a double leg. That's why. It's a double leg. I think a guy like MVP is more difficult to prepare for because you can't prepare for the weird striking and the way that he fights and his length. But I also think like Marab is insanely difficult to prepare for because you really can't prepare cardio. You can't prepare cardio to go to the level that Marab's going to drag you. And you can't prepare for power when you fight Ilia Topuria. There are a lot of guys that are very tough to fight. I just think that Chimaev is very difficult to prepare for, Chael. But because it's the same takedown, I think that once you figure I can defend that takedown, I at least have a chance to stand with him. And on Saturday, he did not seem as comfortable standing as we have seen him in fights past. So that's the only reason I say no to him, because I believe that it's that shot, Chael. And you said it. They tell you what you're going to do. But here's the thing, right? You said Khabib used to do that too. He did. Khabib let you know he was going to take you down, and you were going to have to deal with him on the ground. The problem is you didn't know how Khabib was going to take you down. Khabib could take you down from a single. If he pushed you against the fence, he'd get the single. He might lift you. He might kick your foot down and trip you. He might just trip you. He shoots the double. Khabib had a lot of takedowns. Khamzat is just relying on the double leg, and you and I know that double leg is very dangerous, but it is one of it's one of the more safe takedowns that we as wrestlers would be prepared to defend stepping in the octagon. Now, I'm talking myself. Other fighters may think he is, but I'm talking like if that was me that had to fight Chimaev, I would not say that he would be more difficult to prepare for than the rest of those guys.
Daniel, by the way, it looks just like a wrestling takedown to me. If I really wanted to compliment and break it down, he comes a little lower on the legs than, say, a George St. Pierre or Randy Couture did, but it's just he's grabbing two legs and knocking you over. Let me ask you this.
I actually think that shooting down towards the legs makes it easier to defend. Because when the guy double legs you, right? Even if he gets to your legs, you're going to sprawl. But even if you can shove his head in the middle and he ends up on one leg, you just turn and kick away. There's no shoe. Dricus could have turned and kicked away 10 times on Saturday. He just did not seem to have the knowledge to do it.
I just want to ask you, like, is that MMA wrestling? Like, George St. Pierre never had a wrestling match, but he could out-wrestle everybody in the cage. Is this MMA wrestling? And I want to know specifically, if his opponent was Bo Nickel, do you feel like he is going to be scoring 11 out of 13 takedowns?
No.
I don't either.
Because Bo was good. Look, and it's just wrestling. But I think that if Chimaev fought Nickel, he would beat him in the stand-up. Right, because Chimaev's a world champion, super high-level fighter, so he would take Bo to where Bo wasn't comfortable, and I don't know that he would use as much energy trying to take him down. But again, he took down Kamaru Usman. He just didn't take him down as frequently because he couldn't once Usman started to kind of get an idea of where the takedowns were coming. So I do believe that if it was like a Bo Nickel or, hell, even if it was a George St. Pierre back in the day, George would make the adjustments to where he would have to start wrestling down on his legs with no shoe, and he would start to kind of turn and kick and float. When I saw GSP float that Barzagar of Josh Koscheck, I was like, hey, man, this dude knows how to wrestle. He knows how to wrestle. So it's like, yes, I think his style is very, very good. I think he's the best in the world, and I think it'll be very difficult for the crop of middleweights now to get past him. But I do believe that if I, Daniel Cormier, the wrestler, was prepared for Khamzat Chimaev, I would prepare more for a striking fight because I would know that it would be difficult to take him down one, and I would make it difficult for him to take me down, and then he wouldn't want to use the energy to continue trying to take me down.
I see it that way.
Right? You agree?
Yeah, I see it that exact same way. I've just been a little surprised. I mean, even the entries, but I mean, not for nothing, he's walking a guy down. You want to figure out how to get into range and fight. It takes some time, and you slip something. He doesn't slip anything. He just keeps walking towards you. Eventually, you're going to hit the fence, and you can't back up. I like that part. I like that Chimaev will come and get right into your face because it does open the opportunity for some strikes. And I'm also with you. This whole idea that he's a world champion only because of the double A. Well, everybody uses plan A. Nobody goes to plan B unless they have to.
They have to.
And I do think that Chimaev's got that weapon. I think he's got that skill. And I think that might be one of the great things that he takes away from this fight is a misconception by everybody that he can only do one thing. That I personally do not believe. But that's also from seeing him in training, seeing and talking with some of his coaches and his workout partners. But I do think the champ's got a little bit more to offer. I think what's coming next is fascinating. I've never seen 185 pounds so difficult. And I know Imanov and Chael are going to get a good look put on that match. But RDR sits out there towards the top somewhere. I'm not sure right where he's at, but Daniel, he's not more than one away, in my opinion.
And that's the thing about De Ridder, right? De Ridder is a tremendous grappler. So I believe that when Khamzat fights him, it'll be more of a stand-up fight. Now, De Ridder has knees for days, and he's massive at 185 pounds. RDR is dangerous for anyone, but also so many others are also. So Phil Rowe is confident that he doesn't think Chimaev could do that to Kyle Wahalyo. But then you think about all those great guys, Joe. If there was a guy you had to send out there to fight Khamzat, and you're betting your money on them to get a victory, who would that be?
I love the idea of Kyle getting that opportunity. I don't want to continue down my usual road of dismissing Imanov. When Imanov got over on Izzy, he got a brand new look from me. But if you made me just throw one name at you, I mean, listen, not for nothing, I really want to see him go with Bo Nickel. That's just personally, we are not there.
That's a long time coming, no chill.
I understand that we are not there. I like that idea. I'm not dismissive to Fluffy Hernandez, by the way. But the one that could offer the biggest threat from what we've seen in the past, and that's going to be De Ridder. One thing that Chimaev, and one of the reasons his fight with Gilbert Burns was so fun and so unusual, is he respected Gilbert's ground game so much that he wasn't in a huge hurry to get him there, like he was, say, Saturday against Dricus. And I only offer you that De Ridder's ground game is respected in the same regard. He's a tremendous jiu-jitsu player, but specifically from the bottom. So I like RDR right now. However, I think that Kyle and Imanov both have a little more skills than they have shown us. And I don't hate the idea of Sean Strickland either. Now, I know that's a little down the road, but there's a lot of middleweights, I think, is my larger point.
Yeah, there's a lot of great middleweights right now. So the champ will have a ton to go through to keep defending this championship. But I tell you, man, it was very exciting to see Khamzat Chimaev finally break through. And, you know, to see a guy that just had the shine from the moment he got there, ultimately get there. Because usually there's some bumps in the road on your way to a championship, not for Khamzat Chimaev. But right before then, Chael, we had two crazy knockouts. Back to back. Spinning back elbows don't happen very often. And people that throw them, generally, they don't work as well. Well, it sure worked for Carlos Prates at the end of round one against Jeff Neal. And boy, did it work for Lerone Murphy over Aaron Pico. The sound that these elbows made when they connected were crazy. Chael, that was nuts. What were you guys doing up on the set when you saw that happen?
Well, you could have counted under boxing rules. You could have counted to one, or you could have counted to 1,000. That fight was going to be over. Listen, it broke my heart when that happened to Aaron Pico, to answer your question directly. Aaron Pico might be the hardest worker in our industry. That's a literal statement. He might be it. But if he takes anything away, please, I want him to use that energy, that practice energy on things that he's going to see in the octagon. Aaron Pico's the kind of guy on his way to practice will pull over and run up a mountain because somebody told him it's going to be hard and nobody else could do it. But then he would miss that practice. And I want to see him in the arm bars up against the wall. I want to see him punching and kicking. I want to see him using his energy in training at things that we're going to see in the actual contest. Now, that's me being critical, but if you got the work ethic and the youth, if you got the opportunities of Aaron Pico, like all of us, we have regrets when it's over. We look back, go, I should have done more of this. I want Pico to spend more energy and effort in a day instead of running that mountain, doing something that we're going to see in the actual cage. And it was very difficult for me to watch. But then for Lerone Murphy, I think that he became the number one contender. And if you listen to Volkanovski, he did become the number one contender. So that announcement could be coming soon, but it's now to a position where I'm expecting it. It was that impressive of a performance. And as far as Pradas, man, this guy is oozing machismo. I mean, this guy, he's got the cigarette gimmick like Mayorga. He's got that whiskey gimmick like McGregor. I mean, he's got the tattoo. He's doing the call-outs. He's part of the Fighting Nerds. This dude checks a lot of boxes, and frankly, it was nice to see something good happen to him because I know what it's like to be part of a colossally successful team, and you look around, and you're the only one that isn't holding it up. And whether that's fair or not, it's at least how he felt, and that was his motivation. He didn't ever want to feel that again, and for a while, he's not going to have to.
Chael, he comes out to Rick Ross, a Brazilian dude with a mustache, just rapping. I was like, man, this Carlos Pratas got some swag. And he goes out there and he fights the right way. This dude is a beast, man. And if he continues to fight like he did last weekend, where he's showing patience, timing, he said that he wanted to not rush knockouts anymore. And ultimately, he got the knockout because he took his time. But make no mistake about it, he was starting to pull away from Jeff. He was starting to pull away from him in the competition, and that's why he got that knockout. We've seen Jeff Neal lose to the best fighters in the world. Gary, Shavkat. Nobody's done him like that. Nobody has done him like Carlos Pratas did last weekend, so that was sick. And then the Aaron Pico knockout. Look, man, I'll tell you it on two sides. I've known Cheeks, Aaron, we call him Cheeks, since he was a young boy. For me to watch him get knocked out like that again and him get completely stiff, it makes me sad because he's given us some great knockouts. But when he does lose, it usually happens like that. And I hate seeing a young man get knocked out in that way. I think he should take some time to rest, recover. I wouldn't like to see Aaron Pico fight again until next year. Stay away from this thing because that was a bad knockout. But for Lerone Murphy, it's exactly what he needed. He was 16-0 going into this thing. He hadn't lost, but nobody was talking about him as if he was the number one contender. Nobody was talking of him like they should have the entire time. He's always been tremendous. He's always been an amazing fighter. His footwork, his striking, next level. And he was able to have that moment that really separates you from everybody else. Every sport, Chael, they talk about having the moment that defines your race. You want to win the Heisman, you got to do something spectacular. Hell, Desmond Howard ran a punt back and did the Heisman pose in 1997. We're still talking about that today because it was that big a moment. That was his moment that ultimately will get him a championship opportunity. And honestly, he matches up very well against Alexander Volkanovski. So, I mean, it's a great fight.
The greatest thing for Murphy, by the way, if we're shining him up, I'll leave him with this final thought.
Hold on, Chael. Fire, hold on.
Oh.
A few moments later.
Now, DC, you just stood down and you said there's a fire? What do you mean there's a fire?
No, I got a couple idiots. My kickboxing coach is in there making coffee. The coffee comes over the thing and it starts smoking, so it gets into the fire alarm. My son runs downstairs. Everybody's panicking, as I was. And ultimately, it was just a Brazilian dude trying to make coffee.
I did not know that you could burn a liquid enough to trigger a smoke alarm. You just taught me something.
I don't understand. It's a very sensitive smoke alarm. I'm scared, Chael. I'm a scared man. I'm a scared man in my.
Was he making coffee? Oh, well, you know what? I'm not quite done here. Was he making coffee over the stove, or like you have a coffee maker and sometimes it? What happened?
I have a coffee maker, but he's an idiot, Chael. So maybe he didn't put the coffee pot in, so it must was just hitting the ground, hitting the thing, and it's like, psh,
sure. No, they've thought of everything. The technology is incredible, but you're right. They are not idiot-proof. That's a detail that now I do understand. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead. Make your point, Lerone, about you was talking to Luke Barnott.
Yeah, I was just, one thing about Lerone and one thing that they were so happy with when that fight was over, and even though it was all in the first round, Lerone was losing that first round. He was
Yeah, he
taken down,
was.
then he was taken down again. Those shots to the body that Aaron Pico was ripping, oh my, they're the best body shots we saw of the entire night, not just of that contest. And Lerone had to deal with that. And Aaron walked him down again. And he's up against the fence, and it looks like it's going to be rinse and repeat, so he changes his strategy. The one thing that Dricus was not able to do all night, Lerone did in that moment, went to the spinning attack and got the knockout. And I see it the same way. Like, if you want me to be excited for Lerone versus Volkanovski, I have to know that you can deal with adversity, because you're going to experience some with Volk. I really did think that was a big moment. I'm with Luke Barnott on this, that the greatest thing that Lerone did is get up after he was put down twice.
Yeah, absolutely. Congrats to Lerone Murphy, man. That was a big deal. Chael, the Ultimate Fighter wrap for the flyweights on Saturday night, and just like you said, Joseph Morales is the champ. Dude, that was, man, what a performance by Bopo. Chael, I got to tell you, he's been good the whole time, but he was never that good. He looked amazing.
Daniel, that is just the truth. And I started to experience this the day before. When we were doing the weight cut, he did a lot of moving around and a lot of shadow boxing. And I was starting to see it. I even went home and I told Miss Brittany, she said, how'd he look? And you're hurting in that moment. You're not trying to look great. And I was still seeing these body mechanics. And I said, honey, I never seen him look like this. And I said, I think he just had a good day. So we get to the arena on actual fight day and he starts warming up. And I'm watching the same thing. And Daniel, I even took out my phone and started filming it. He was working out, but there was some live goes from a grappling standpoint with Uriah Faber, his top coach. And I never seen him look so sharp. And then he couldn't get tired. We had to end the warm up. And you've seen these where the guy has so much energy, you guys stop,
Yes.
and we're going to save that for the game. He soaked himself through his shirt plus through his sweatshirt. I mean, it was one of these intense moments where walking to the ring, I'm realizing he's either better than even I knew he was, and he was my first pick, or he's just having a good night. Either way, this is a very special time. Then when he gets in the ring, Daniel, he's got a look on his face, and it was a look of pleasure, that he was taking the moment in, that he was able to enjoy it. And that is a very rare thing, as badly as you'd want somebody to do that. A lot of guys go their whole career and they don't get there, and he just stayed calm. I had a apprehension with Alibi because of Alibi's pace. I mean, he can outwork everybody, and he did on a bi-daily basis during the Ultimate Fighter, and we all saw that. And I even told Joe, listen, we don't have to beat this guy for 15 minutes. We got to beat him for 7.5. Go steal the first 2 rounds. And if that energy starts getting to you, we can play a game in the third. Just go grab 2 rounds. And I said that as a way of lessening some of that anxiety. When he went out there, Daniel, I was so impressed from Bopo's standpoint with the boxing, with the kicks, with his ability to listen to his coaches and react, his ability to stay off the fence, and then those submissions. Come on, partner. That was a world-class performance by Bopo.
It looked like he was the guy that's been in there with people like Davis and Figueiredo in his career. Chael, the way Joseph Morales looked on Saturday, they could have fought 40 rounds. He was going to win them all. He wasn't tired at all. He was the one dictating the pace. He was going to submit Alibi at the end of round 1, right? It looked like he was about to submit him at the end of round 1. Then he submits him at the end of round 2, or in the middle of round 2. It just looked like 2 guys that were on a different level. And so it makes me gain respect for Emmanuel Rodriguez, right? Split decision with Bopo. And but I'm proud of Alibi. He's a good guy, man. And he worked his butt off and he put himself in that position. But ultimately, you told me, you said, Daniel, make no mistake about it. They're all very tough. My guy's the best. And I only need one guy, because only one guy can win this. So it doesn't matter everything that happens along the way. I believe I have the guy. And that was proven to be true on Saturday night. But on Saturday night, you also did something that makes us start a new segment called Sonnen's Saturday Night Soliloquies. What's that, Chael?
Soliloquy. Beautiful. Could you spell that for us, DC? All right.
Yeah, absolutely. SOLLIO.
Not looking down at Ayers notes. All right. So now you must understand, you got to understand this from my perspective. If I can just set this up for the audience. I believe that we settled the Ultimate Fighter Saturday. That's open to conversation.
That's what you say, but that's not true.
But it's what I believed, only because you had lost 2 guys at the scale, so only 1 championship was given out, and it went to Team Sun. And so I'm in the process of trying to convince the world of my position. You must know that was one of my goals. So tweet number 1, Daniel and me are bros, but everybody knows when the cage doors close, pal, you got to go. Number 2, Sun and his team was stacked with defenses and attacks. We're running out of room to hang all these damn plaques. Number 3,
my God.
They wheeled dudes out on gantries, and I cleared out Daniel's pantry. Now bring the psychophantry. And my final tweet, it's always my night. Be sure to get it right. Team Sun and 1, even before the fight.
Chael, you're doing all this while working ESPN, dude. Come on,
I was hoping you would see it. I was hoping
Chael,
like your phone would light up on Twitter while you were commentating that you'd have to address it.
Chael, how about winning gracefully? Like, is that not a thing, Chael, in the Sun household about winning gracefully?
Daniel, I'm attempting to steal. I'm attempting to rewrite history and proclaim that we won the whole thing. Okay, so I've already sold my soul. Now I'm just going all in. Do you understand?
Hey, you deserve to after that. You deserve to after that, man. That was
Somebody said that the coach of the winning team gets a car. I'm getting ready to steal your car. That's just so you know what's going on here.
I still have 3. I had 3 in the final, Chael, so no, I won the Ultimate Fighter.
I didn't see 2 of them. That's I didn't see 2 of them.
So wait, so you think that their fight, that's just a fight on No J UFC now? That's not an Ultimate Fighter.
Well, that was discussed. Here's the thing, and no, I don't know that my argument has legs, but we did have an agreement. We had an agreement for
that
the only
Chicago
tournament
was supposed to happen.
That was the agreement, that we have a tournament, the only tournament in sport. If anybody would have missed weight or gotten hurt, whatever might have happened while we were filming, there would have been a forfeit. It's a straight line bracket. There would have been an advancement. So I am hanging my hat on that argument. I mean, I'm not done. I'm going to go to Craig Pelagian and say, did we agree to conclude this in Chicago or not? And if he says yes, I'm going to come back and revisit this. And I am trying to take this victory. That part is true. I realize I'm on weak legs. I am not done. I believe that my team won the Ultimate Fighter.
My car. Chael goes, I want my car.
I'm going to take your car.
You have enough of them. Chael, you have enough of them, and mine got stolen. I still haven't replaced it. So what are we doing here? All right, Chael, this week in MMA history, bro, you sub Shogun Rua, and then you cut one of the most epic promos of all time. Take a listen.
Wanderlei Silva, 6 feet tall and 205 pounds. Boy, until I met you, I didn't know they could stack crap that high. Whoa, I will let you know when I'm done, Joe. I just got done with the world champion. If you think I won't add a middle-aged comedian just for the goddamn pleasure of it, you better think again. Wanderlei Silva, 3 months, you and the bad guy.
That was the best. Dude, I got to be honest, Chael. I can't say I loved what you win because you're the only guy to ever be completely undefeated. But I loved when you win because I just look forward to the post-fight. The post-fights were amazing, and the way you would troll Anderson Silva. Bro, I don't know if Anderson Silva has gotten over this to this day. And if he has, he's a much bigger, stronger man than I am.
I got to tell you, I'm 2 inches taller now that you guys played that piece for me. I mean, these are the great memories, right, Daniel? When somebody brings something up from your past, it makes you feel good. And that really, for me, was a special night. They put it in a main event. I had my whole family out there. I remember afterwards, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, and John Bartis went and he got us all something called a lobster roll and clam chowder. Yeah. We just had a really great evening, and I appreciate you paying a tribute to it. Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. You had a tremendous career. A lot of great moments. We talked about moments earlier, Chael. You had many of them, and that's why we're still talking about them today, 12 years later. Guys, that's another episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy for Chael Sonnen. I'm Daniel Cormier. We will see you guys on Thursday.